So does it work with, like, any name?
Jacob! No, it doesn't. It doesn't work.
Shazam is the latest and most obscure entry into the DCEU. And make no mistake about it, it is part of the DCEU. The movie follows Billy Batson, a 15-year-old orphan who's been through countless foster homes over the years, while at the same time trying to locate his biological mother. In the most recent home he's been placed in, we meet his new friend, Freddy, who is one of the sources of a lot of the great comedy in the movie. Through a course of events, Billy is transformed into Shazam, a mid to late 20-something superhero. We then follow Billy and Freddy as they try and discover Billy's new powers as Shazam. Along the way, we meet Mark Strong's villain character, Dr. Savannah, who acquires similar powers to Shazam, except they're the evil side of things. More specifically, through the powers of the 7 deadly sins. I know what you're thinking, but it's actually a lot cooler than it sounds. Dr. Savannah wants to do some evil stuff that's not really ever elaborated on. But before he can do said evil things, he has to defeat the only person who can stand up to him, Shazam, so that he can take his powers and no one can oppose him. This movie was fun as hell. This is exactly what the DCEU needed. Along with Wonder Woman and Aquaman before it, DC is on a roll now. Hopefully this is indicative of what we can expect from DC moving forward, because I had a blast with this movie from beginning to end. Prior to coming out, the trailers portrayed this to be more of a comedy than anything else. And while yeah, it has plenty of jokes and plenty of funny stuff throughout, it's got loads of action and story as well. In fact, that's one of the things this movie does very well. It balances the comedy, action, and most importantly, the story very well. I was afraid it was just going to be joke after joke after joke and get repetitive and old after a while. I was also afraid that all the funny parts were going to be in the trailer and I'd already seen them. But no, there's tons of other funny stuff and tons of other awesome stuff throughout this movie. First off, the story. It was surprisingly deeper than I expected it to be. It's not Shakespeare, but you can definitely see that they put a lot of thought into not just the story, but the execution of the story as well. Before walking into the theater, I didn't know who the hell any of these characters were. But I feel like the movie did a really good job of introducing me to these characters and giving me a really good feel for who they are. I was happy to see that the movie spent that time in the beginning to focus on character development, so when all the cool stuff started to happen, you actually cared about the characters that it was happening to. It seems like it gives just that right amount of character development to everybody involved, including the side characters. They got their moments as well, just enough so that you care about them when things start to go down. The story also has a really great message about family and what family actually means. And while you do see some parts of that element of the story coming, what you don't see is the way that they're executed, which is done masterfully. I love superhero and comic book movies, but honestly, I'm rarely surprised by them. You usually know how things are going to work out, but there were some genuine surprises and things I just didn't see coming in this movie. And that was pretty refreshing overall. All the performers in the movie do a really great job as well. Zachary Levi as Shazam was perfect casting in my opinion. Much like Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man, I feel like Zachary Levi was kind of born to play this role. He plays that kid trapped in an adult's body curiosity very convincingly, much like Tom Hanks did in Big so many years ago. Another surprise was the kid actors in the movie. None of them were annoying at all. In fact, dare I say, they were enjoyable to watch, and they all did a pretty good damn job. Most notably, of course, Billy and Freddy, which we spend the most time with throughout the movie. When it comes to kid actors, it's real hit or miss. You might end up with a Haley Joel Osment in The Sixth Sense, or you might get Jake Lloyd in The Phantom Menace.
Now this is pod racing. Woo!
Oh, but not here. All the kids in this movie were extremely entertaining. Mark Strong's villain, Dr. Savannah, was good too. Not great, but not bad either. He was actually a really interesting character. However, I didn't feel like he was really fleshed out as much as I would have liked. They did go into his reasoning and motivations behind what he's trying to do, and those parts I found really interesting. But once he acquired his evil powers, he just kind of became the stereotypical bad guy. He wasn't bad by any means, but he wasn't great either. If I had to pick one, he was the lesser of all the characters in the movie. I don't really attribute that to Strong's performance, as I do the story just kind of giving up on explaining much about him about halfway through. He serves this purpose. The movie has a surprising amount of heart, and fortunately the filmmakers knew when the comedy aspects of the movie weren't necessary as to overshadow those more dramatic moments. Overall, the movie's still a funny movie, but that doesn't mean that the movie can't have more deeper dramatic moments. And in those those moments, comedy's just not appropriate. Thankfully they knew that, unlike a lot of movies nowadays. There's also tons of little nods and winks to other DC properties in this thing. And there's also a few, some obscure, cameos in the movie that I will not ruin here. But one in particular was pretty awesome and very unexpected, especially when it happened. There's stuff just peppered throughout this whole movie. It'll probably have to be watched multiple times to catch it all. I think it goes without saying that the special effects here are great. It's kind of expected with this kind of movie at this point. And even though it is expected, that doesn't change the fact that they are still very convincing and never pull you out of the experience. Overall, I really enjoyed Shazam. I was hoping I would, but I was a little afraid I had seen all the good parts in the trailer. This is not the case. There's a great movie here to be had. It's fun, it's exciting, it has a great story, and it is just what the DCEU needed. And it's also absolutely worth the admission price to go see in theaters. Go see it, and I promise you won't be disappointed. So there it is, guys, my review of Shazam. If you enjoyed and want more content like this, hit that subscribe button and help my little channel grow. If you liked what I had to say, give me a thumbs up. If not, let me know in the comments below why. And as always, I'll see you guys next time. There is a mid-credit and after-credit scene in the movie. You should definitely stay for the mid-credit scene because it's story-related. And while the end-credit scene is funny, it doesn't really do anything to push the story forward at all. That mid-credit scene, though, that's some weird shit going on there. I won't ruin it, but something that's in it, I had absolutely no fucking idea what that was. Totally had to look it up. And I honestly still don't have much of an idea of what it was. But it was important. I got the feeling that it was important at least.
Ow.